As we now know, Michele Bullock will become the 9th Reserve Bank Governor. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced the appointment earlier today.
Michele will be the first female governor since the independent RBA was founded in 1959. After close to 4 decades of service to the RBA, most recently as the Deputy Governor, Ms Bullock is eminently qualified to lead this national institution.
Yeah, congratulations to her. It's a big job, to state the obvious. So what does this mean for Australians with a mortgage and, well, for the rest of the country as a whole? Leith van Onselen from MacroBusiness joins me now. Leith, thank you so much for your time. Will she be any different to Lowe, who she served under? She's been his right-hand man for the past year. And what do we know about her?
Look, I think it's going to be more of the same. As you just said, Michele Bullock has served beside Phil Lowe, for the past year or so, and so she has effectively been the second in charge. Now, my issue with this appointment is that effectively the government undertook this review to reform the RBA, and at the end of this review, all it's done is basically, put in place the second in charge. So it's not really a reform process. I would have liked them to instead have gotten someone who's genuinely independent and from external, rather than someone who's sat next to Lowe during this whole period of apparent failure.
That was my next question. Is she the right choice? I'm assuming her answer is no after that.
No, that's right. See, what I would have loved to have seen is for the government to have gone external. So, for example, mid last decade, the Bank of England poached the Bank of Canada's head, Mark Cerny, to head its central bank. I would have liked to have seen Australia do that as well, because if you want to reform the place, if you think it's done a poor job, you certainly do not bring in someone who sat next to the person who's supposedly done the poor job. This reeks of a fake reform and basically using Phil Lowe as a scapegoat.
She was criticised last month for comments she made regarding unemployment. She is really on a hiding to nothing, isn't she? It doesn't matter how good she is. It's a position that comes with a hell of a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah, look, I certainly don't envy her. I mean, obviously, she's taken over at a pretty bad time. I mean, obviously, Australia's inflation's high. We've got mortgage holders getting smashed left, right and centre, suffering 50% increase in repayments. It's not a great time to come in. The one thing in her favour, though, is the Reserve Bank sounds like it's at the peak of interest rates, which means that she's coming in, likely not going to raise rates much more. So after that, they'll probably start cutting, and then she'll obviously get the cheers. So, it's not all bad news.
You just mentioned Lowe being the scapegoat. What will his legacy be, and has the criticism of him and his treatment been brutal?
Yeah, look, I think it's been fair. I mean, the thing is, he hasn't been booted out mid-term. He's been booted out at the end of his term, and you could argue that obviously they haven't run monetary policy all that well. They obviously, it was only March last year that they were telling everyone that the rates are going to be on hold for another year or so, and then a month or two later, they ramped rates to record levels. So a lot of people borrowed on that fact, thinking that rates were going to stay on hold. So I think he does need to go, but they should have gone someone external.
Lowe and the Treasurer are going on an overseas trip next month. I'm assuming that might be a little bit awkward. I note the Treasurer also referred to Lowe as kind in some of his comments. So I'm assuming that he hopes that he will be kind when he does his first tell-all without all the shackles.
That's right. I'll actually be the first in line to buy that book because, as we often see with politicians, when they give their final speech to Parliament, that's when the skeletons come out of the closet, and that's where you see what they really think. I think we're going to see that with Phil Lowe. Look, Phil Lowe will be fine. He's earned $1 million plus over the past, 5 or 7 years, whatever it's been. And I'm sure he'll get a great job out of this in the banking sector, whatever, and he'll get paid, paid a bootload. So Phil Lowe will be just fine.
And he won't have to answer to anyone. Okay, Leith van Onselen, thank you so much for your time.
No worries, Erin. Anytime.